Namaskar. 10th of December every year is observed as International Human Rights Day. It's a day to reaffirm the importance of human rights which each one of us has since birth. And to protect and promote these human rights, what's the role of the National Human Rights Commission? To help us understand this topic, please welcome in the studios of Doordarshan, Honorable Justice V. Ramasubramanian. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.
You are the chairperson of NHRC and former Judge Supreme Court. Joyful greetings first and foremost of the Human Rights Day.
Thank you.
And sir, it was on 10th of December 1948 that the United Nations General Assembly had adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So first and foremost, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us what are the basic human rights we all have from the time we were born?
Actually, from the time we were born, all men were born free. So freedom is the first right which some people call as a natural right conferred by the creator or nature or whatever you call it. What happened was, after the Second World War, which left millions of people dead, millions of people homeless and millions of people as migrants, the United Nations was formed in 1945, and in 1946 a Commission on Human Rights was created as an 18-member body. This body came up with a document called Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations on 10th December 1948. Though it was adopted in 1948, it was by a resolution passed on 4th December 1950 that a request was made to all the nation states to celebrate 10th December as the Human Rights Day.
Okay, so it's been every year since 1950 that we have this Human Rights Day.
Correct. We are completing 75 years of its celebration.
Okay, very nice. And every year we see that United Nations comes up with a theme. And the theme for the International Human Rights Day 2025 is Everyday Essentials.
Yes.
How do you interpret this theme, Everyday Essentials?
Rather than my interpreting, the reason why United Nations has come up with this theme this year, as they have articulated in their website, is that today the whole world is plunged into chaos for a variety of reasons. There is disaffection, alienation, uncertainty is gripping people all over the world. Therefore, this theme, Everyday Essentials, was conceived as something which can bridge the gap between human rights principles and our everyday experiences.
Okay. Human
rights principles, human rights discourse are available in the books, but in practice, how do we experience them? How we can bridge the gap between principles and practices?
So what are these principles of human rights?
The principles of these human rights are, at the time when this document was conceived, UDHR, there were two categories of rights which they formally acknowledged to exist. One set of rights were the civil and political rights, where right to life, right to liberty, fair trial, right to equality, all this were contemplated. Then the second category of cases were the socio-economic and cultural rights, where you have a right to food, right to shelter, right to a healthy environment, right to a livelihood. All these were contemplated. Today, the gap is, in some cases, in the enforcement of civil and political rights. The gap in certain other cases is in the enforcement of socio-economic and cultural rights. The theme is intended to promote a discourse on how to bridge the gap.
Okay. So let me talk about the right of healthy environment that you spoke, because these days climate change is a global topic and a challenge.
Yes.
So do you think that climate change no longer is an environmental concern? And do you see this as a human rights imperative now?
Definitely. Actually, researchers have identified 15 global challenges today. The first and foremost is climate change. How climate change has come to impact the lives of certain people is unimaginable. For instance, recently there was a case from a Pacific island called Vanuatu, which was argued before the International Court of Justice, and the ICJ has issued an advisory that climate change is something which we can't just limit to a mere discourse on the academic side. It has come to impact our lives. A lot of displacements are taking place. Certain ocean states are likely to disappear in future because of rising ocean levels. So it is something which an imminent danger has come.
Okay.
It is one of the most important human rights identified by the United Nations to be addressed by all countries by a collective action.
Absolutely. So in terms of everyday essentials justice, a lot of viewers will say to breathe clean air is an everyday essential.
Yes.
Access to clean water.
Yes.
So how can NHRC sensitize citizens towards this?
See, right to clean air, right to potable water is now posing great challenges. Today, as we talk here in Delhi, you know the amount of pollution that we all have to live with. But there are certain things where there must be a collective action by civil society, the government, the courts and institutions like human rights institutions. Unfortunately, in our society, we all expect solutions to come only from government. We don't allow solutions to come from ourselves. Take for instance, beautiful lakes located across the country. Many of the lakes have disappeared. We are not getting water. Why? Those lakes have become colonies now. People go and purchase these properties. But we try to blame somebody else alone without realizing that without the effective cooperation, unwittingly or wittingly, by the general public, this cannot happen.
But do you think the essence of the human rights also finds expression in the Indian Constitution, whether in fundamental rights, duties, or more specifically the directive principles?
Yes, exactly. What happened was 1945 to 48, these 3 years, a very, very interesting period in the history of humankind. While United Nations, the Commission on Human Rights was working towards a document, our Constituent Assembly, drafting committee of the Constitution, started working on a constitution. They drew the best principles from various other constitutions, like Irish constitutions, etc., and they drew a list of fundamental rights. These fundamental rights were based upon the rights that had been guaranteed in the English Bill of Rights, in the American Bill of Rights, the amendments to the Constitution of the United States, Irish constitutions, all this. So simultaneously, people were working on two different drafts, one for our country, one for the United Nations, and almost they coincided because the rights which are inalienable are common to humankind, irrespective of race, religion, caste, creed, everything. So that's how the Constitution divided. Part 3 guarantees fundamental rights. Then we talk about the directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy are certain things which may not be enforceable in a court of law. But if the courts find that the non-implementation of a directive principle of state policy affects fundamental rights, then the courts have read certain directive principles of state policy into human rights.
But a lot of school students would be watching the program today on the International Human Rights Day, and I remember in school this question used to come: what's the difference between human rights and fundamental rights that are listed in Constitution? Help the school student understand this.
See, all fundamental rights are human rights. But all human rights need not necessarily be fundamental rights. Because there are certain rights which are guaranteed by the Constitution. For instance, a right to a healthy environment is a human right. But a Constitution cannot guarantee a right to healthy environment. Sometimes the courts have interpreted Article 21, the right to life and livelihood, to include within itself a right to a healthy environment. But the court cannot issue a mandate that this is what the government should do, this is what the government cannot do to ensure a healthy environment. That is why certain human rights which are enforceable are included in the fundamental rights chapter. There are certain other rights which cannot be enforced as fundamental rights, but which will still be human rights.
But since 1948, when the UN endorsed that Universal Declaration, can we say the list of human rights has grown? Because today, as we usher into 2026 justice, people say it's a digital era. We also want the right to our data privacy.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. See, in fact, what happened was when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted, it contained only two categories of rights, as I told you earlier. One category of rights are the civil and political rights. The second category of rights were the socio-economic and political rights. But after the 1970s, when the awareness about environment grew to a great extent, leading to Air Act, Water Act, and thereafter the National Green Tribunal, Environment Acts, etc., collective rights of people were recognized by all countries throughout the world, and these collective rights became what are known as the third generation rights.
Okay.
While civil and political rights formed the first generation rights, some scholars thought socio-economic and cultural rights are the second generation rights, and after 1970s these collective rights for environment, etc., became the third generation rights.
Okay.
Then after the explosion in the information technology and digital technology, we had this right to privacy.
Okay.
So we have a lot of other rights which have come up. For instance, the advancement in science and technology has given rise to certain rights, like I don't want treatment, I want to die a peaceful death, euthanasia.
Okay.
So these innovations in science and technology, information technology, digital technology, etc., have given rise to what are now known as the fourth generation rights.
So I can say today as a citizen of planet Earth that right to data privacy is my human right.
Yes, certainly. That belongs to the fourth generation rights.
Well, let's also talk about National Human Rights Commission. It was in 1993 that we had this Statute Protection of Human Rights Act 93, and thus came the NHRC.
Yes.
And congratulations to you, because in October this year, 32 years of journey was completed.
Yes.
How do you see the institutional journey over these 3 decades?
In my view, the institution has done phenomenal work. On the basis of Paris principles, this institution was established. In the past 32 years, you will be surprised to know that this commission has handled about 23 lakh cases. Not all of them are really cases which should be handled by NHRC, but there is a systemic problem in our country. If an institution is created and if it inspires confidence, people try to go to the institution irrespective of whether that is the institution where they have to knock at the doors.
So do tell them, when can we knock at the institution, at the commission?
Say everything today falls under human rights.
Okay.
For instance, a government servant is not paid his pension. Supreme Court has said it's a human right. He has to survive. Therefore, they come to the commission.
Okay.
But there are specialized tribunals to deal with this. For instance, there is an environmental issue in a particular village. A huge project is coming up.
Okay.
It is alleged that this project may impact the environment. They are entitled to come here because environment is one of the human rights. But the problem is there are specialized tribunals like National Green Tribunal which can handle it, which are equipped to handle it.
Okay.
Therefore, it is not as though if you put everything under the category of human rights, then our powers are unlimited. Sky is the limit.
Oh, yes.
But there are functional difficulties.
Okay.
Therefore, whenever there is your right to life is affected, your right to liberty is affected, there is a police torture.
Okay.
All these cases assume priority of treatment before the National Human Rights Commission.
So, say for example, if I was to receive a pension as a senior citizen and I didn't get it, and I launched the complaint to NHRC, then how would you communicate that I should go to somewhere else?
There are two types of, you will have to make a distinction between two types of cases.
Okay.
A retired government servant not getting pension is different from a common citizen, a common man not receiving an old age pension.
Okay. The welfare scheme.
Welfare scheme.
Okay.
He has got no right to go to a specialized tribunal, whereas a government servant has got a right to go to a specialized tribunal, namely administrative tribunal.
Okay.
So whenever under a welfare scheme a widow does not get her pension, she is certainly entitled to come to the commission. When she comes and lodges a complaint, we send it to the appropriate authority for an action taken report.
Okay.
Within 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending upon the urgency. If we don't receive the action taken report, we escalate it to the next stage where we are entitled to compel the personal attendance of the officer concerned before us by invoking section 13.
Okay.
Once we do that, the officers which deprive this old person of his due, they respond.
Okay.
When they respond, they may put up a good defense for non-payment.
Okay.
If they put up a very valid defense, then if the person is not entitled under the scheme, he or she is not entitled.
Okay.
If he or she is actually entitled and it gets trapped in a procedural entanglement, then we pass a recommendation that that person is entitled to the payment. That's how there's a procedure established.
Okay. So if there is any citizen in India who feels that their human rights are violated, you can go to this website of National Human Rights Commission, which is nhrc.nic.in, and then you can also access the Human Rights Commission
HRC
net portal.
Yes.
HRC. So there's no N there.
No.
Okay. This is where they can lodge the complaint.
They can lodge a complaint online. There are two methods. They can lodge a complaint online, number one. They can send the hard copy of the complaint by post, number two. And we are attempting to come up with an app, mobile app application. So once that is launched, we propose to launch it very soon. Once that application is launched, mobile app is launched, people need not even go to the website. They can download the app, they can send a complaint, and they can also track the complaint.
So digital solutions in digital era.
Yes.
But tell us some of the other initiatives, particularly the ones that have happened during your leadership, because you assumed the role of chairperson NHRC in December of 2024.
Yes.
So what have been the major initiatives and outcomes of the last 1 year?
In the past 1 year, we have taken up the cases of persons with disabilities. We have taken up cases of prisoners who languish in prison. We have now launched an initiative about how to effectively implement the Probation of Offenders Act.
Okay.
Because first-time offenders who get caught for committing some small crimes which are punishable with imprisonment for less than 2 years, instead of incarceration, they can actually be put on probation for good conduct.
So you're saying incarceration as in rather than putting them in captivity or jail,
yes,
put them to some community service or rehabilitation center.
Exactly. So we have drawn up a national consultation on this. So we would like to come up very soon with advisories to governments, because governments are also facing a problem.
Okay.
It is a multi-sided problem.
Okay.
All prisons are overcrowded. All prisons are understaffed.
And that is a violation of human rights.
It's a violation of human rights. There are people inside who are not supposed to be there for so long. But because of the procedural entanglements, they are not able to apply for bail. They are not able to produce sureties. They still spend time. And what happens is, studies show that if a person goes to prison as a first-time offender, the chances of his getting recidivistic tendencies to commit offences more and more, because of the environment that is provided inside the jail, is more. Therefore, we are now trying to focus on how to make it less and less,
But one more thing that NHRC has taken as an initiative has been the mental well-being of people, particularly the vulnerable population, say for example the inmates of a prison or children of parents in conflict. Please help us understand the outcomes there.
NHRC did a lot of work on mental health, and they have already issued advisories. But mental health is a continuing challenge. We don't even know how many people are actually affected because of mental health issues. Today, studies show that children who grow up in isolation in families, they face serious mental health issues. In educational institutions, a lot of suicides happen because of mental health issues. So we are now trying to focus on what is happening in education institutions. Why is it happening? Parents push children beyond a particular threshold. They want their children to do much more than what they are capable of doing, or much more than what they want to do. This creates a huge stress level.
Yes.
Stress is a word which we never heard when we were young. But stress is a word which children repeat as mantra today.
Yes.
It's a very serious challenge.
Yes.
So we are now holding consultations as to how in schools, education institutions, how counselors can be appointed. In prisons, how counselors can be appointed. We are more worried about schools and education institutions. We are now in February, we have sponsored a study on suicides that happen.
Okay.
See, suicides that happen in education institutions because of mental health issues is increasing every year.
Yes.
This is a matter of serious concern, because we are losing younger population. India takes pride in having one of the largest a youth population. But if we are going to use so many youth in suicides, it's not going to augur well.
So that's very innovative, talking about stress management from school to workplace to almost everywhere.
Yes.
So in terms of those three broad categories that you told me,
Yes.
where human rights fits, where do you put this stress management and NHRC's role?
NHRC's role is in collaborating with experts in the field,
Okay.
like psychologists.
Okay.
See, unfortunately, statistics show that for a population of 1.45 billion in this country, we have persons qualified at the high level in psychiatric treatment are only about 15 to 20,000. Though the Mental Health Act 2017
Yes.
has focused on increasing the number of mental health professionals, number of qualified people are less and less.
Yes.
So we propose to issue advisories to the government
Okay.
as to how the number of professionals can be increased,
Okay.
how they can be usefully employed
Okay.
in tackling these issues at the school level, at the education institutions level, at the workplace level, etc.
So this involves a lot of collaboration of the National Human Rights Commission with, say,
Yes.
jail officers,
Yes.
mental health institutions,
Yes.
hospitals, doctors,
Yes. Yes.
academia.
Yes.
So how do you
Yes.
force that collaboration?
No, this collaboration is very easy because, see, Human Rights Commission, we don't work in isolation. We work with core groups. We have core group for every subject. We have a core group on mental health issues. We have special rapporteurs. We have special rapporteurs work in different jurisdictions, territorial jurisdictions. Special monitors work on different subjects. And we collaborate with NGOs working in the field.
So in terms of the jurisdiction, the National Human Rights Commission will have jurisdiction across India?
Yes.
Then how do you work with the state human rights commissions?
The subject of police and law and order, they fall within the state list under the 7th schedule to the Constitution.
Right.
Therefore, since most of the human rights issues arise because of state action and police action, the states are empowered to create state human rights commissions without the federal government interfering into the affairs of the state government. Because we have to, under the Constitution, the states and the center-state relationship
Okay.
is a kind of a relationship where, sometimes frictions arise, sometimes it's very smooth.
Okay.
So, non-interference in states' affairs is one of the fundamental principles on which the Constitution is premised.
Okay.
So, states are entitled to create their own state human rights institutions.
Okay.
They are independent of the National Human Rights Commission.
Okay.
National Human Rights Commission is not an apex body
Okay.
controlling either administratively or judicially the state human rights commissions.
Okay.
They have their own freedom.
Okay.
One difference is that if National Human Rights Commission takes cognizance of a complaint before the State Human Rights Commission takes cognizance,
Okay.
then under the Act we are entitled to proceed with the investigation.
Okay. So we avoid duplicacy.
We avoid duplicacy, we avoid interference, but our jurisdictions are very clearly earmarked.
Okay.
But if there is an issue pan-India, for instance prisoners' rights,
Okay.
though prison is also a subject within the state,
Okay.
if certain reforms have got to be undertaken,
Okay.
pan-India, that is a subject which we can always take up. We take on board the state governments more than the state human rights commissions.
So Justice, if today the citizen is based, say, in the capital city of Delhi or Maharashtra, Telangana, Bengal, Odisha, would they still go to that mobile app?
Yes.
Or would they still go to the HCR net portal to lodge a complaint?
Yes.
Okay.
Every day we receive about 200 to 250 complaints online.
Okay.
Every day.
On the HRC net portal?
Yes.
Okay. So, in terms of the complaints, one is that somebody lodges the complaint. The commission suo moto also takes cognizance?
Yes. Under Section 12 of the Act, whenever we come across any human rights violation without the persons at the receiving end making a complaint, we are entitled to take suo moto cognizance.
Okay.
This we do under two circumstances. Suppose there is a newspaper report
Okay.
about some happening in some remote place. We take suo moto cognizance, we verify the factual correct accuracy of the newspaper report,
Okay.
and then call for an action taken report.
Okay.
Even if the party who was at the receiving end has not made a complaint to us.
Okay.
This is one way of taking suo moto cognizance. The second way of taking suo moto cognizance, there are human rights defenders throughout the country. Many of them bring to our notice, say for instance a human rights defender in Tamil Nadu may bring to our notice something that is happening in Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay.
When he brings it to our notice, we take suo motu cognizance, verify the factual accuracy and take further action.
So once the complaint is lodged or a suo motu cognizance is taken, then comes the next step of investigation. So does the commission have their own resources of investigation, or you primarily rely on the police and the state agencies?
No. We have an investigation division headed by an officer of the rank of Director General of Police.
Okay.
He is supported by an officer of the rank of DIG of Police.
Okay.
He is supported by 4 officers of the rank of Senior Superintendents of Police, IPS officers. Then there are Deputy Superintendents of Police, Inspectors, Sub-Inspectors. They are all drawn on deputation to NHRC.
At the Delhi headquarters or across India?
Delhi headquarters.
Okay.
No, from across the country.
Okay.
We draw people from across the country on deputation to NHRC. They come here on deputation to work here for 5 years, etc.
Okay.
They are completely independent of state police and central police.
Okay. And then finally, in terms of the outcome, the commission recommends.
Yes.
So how do you see the impact of the recommendations that commission gives?
See, what happens is, in fact, there are a lot of debates about the recommendations, the efficacy, etc. Section 18 of the Act, which empowers the Commission to pass final orders, uses the expression recommendation. Therefore, whenever we direct state government to pay compensation to a victim of violation of human rights, whenever we recommend disciplinary action or criminal action prosecution to be launched against an official responsible for human rights violation, there is always a debate. It's only recommendatory.
Yes.
They need not comply
Yes.
with it. But it's not so.
Okay.
This issue has been settled by the Madras High Court
Okay.
by a full bench decision. In fact, the judicial opinion itself was divided earlier.
Okay.
A full bench of the Madras High Court clarified that though the word used is recommendation, it is mandatory, you must comply with it. If you don't want to comply with it, you are entitled to take it to the court and challenge the recommendation made by the NHRC.
So is it morally binding or legally binding on the
It is
public
legally
authority?
binding. It was thought to be morally binding.
Okay.
Now, after the judgment of the Madras High Court,
Okay.
it has become legally binding.
So penultimate question, sir.
Yes.
As we usher into the new year 2026, your second year as chairperson of NHRC, what are the immediate priorities where interventions are required?
The interventions are required in lot of cases relating to disability rights,
Okay.
gender rights, women's rights,
Okay.
women and children in prison. There are cases of children who are in prison because the mothers are incarcerated. These are areas which really pose a lot of challenges.
Clean air.
Yes.
Clean air.
Clean air is a universal problem in, there are certain types of problems which are manageable, certain types of problems which are not manageable. Therefore, we will have to make a distinction between them.
And we need collective solutions. So my final question to every citizen of planet Earth, because human rights is a collective, what's your message?
The message is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself begins by saying that this document is intended to promote respect for human rights. Unless each one of us have respect for the human rights of other people,
Yes.
other people may not have respect for our human rights.
Yes.
This is something that I think as citizens we have a collective responsibility to respect the human rights of other people.
Yes.
Human rights are not just enforceable only when my rights are violated.
Yes.
I have an obligation to the other citizens to respect their human rights.
Absolutely. And if you look at the logo of NHRC, that's sun rays.
Correct.
Just like sun rays are for everyone, human
Correct.
rights are for everyone.
Correct.
And your motto, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina.
Correct.
So let's hope that everyone is
Correct.
happy. It's a collective and
Correct.
we can respect and defend
Correct.
human rights for everyone. It's been a pleasure having this conversation
you.
with you. Once again, joyful greetings on International Human Rights Day. Thank you very much, Justice, for joining us on Doordarshan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.